And I would just like to know, well, what do you think most people get wrong when they think about trauma?
So more recently, I have been speaking a bit about the Fawn trauma response, which seems to be lesser known. So I was actually being interviewed earlier and we were talking about this. There's 5 trauma responses. There's fight, flight, and freeze that I think everyone's kind of quite familiar with. And then there's flop, which is you literally just pass out on the spot. Like, that's it. So traumatic, so scary. You know, like you often see the videos of like grooms at the altar that faint, you know, those sort of funny things. You know, stuff like that. Or there's lots of animals. There's like these little sort of impala deers in the desert, and they see a predator and they literally flop. They fall over to one side. Trauma response, they just quite literally check out. But the last one is fawn. And I don't know that people are really aware of what fawning is, what it isn't, and the fact that, again, just like fight, flight, or freeze, this is activated before there's any kind of conscious thought. It is truly a trauma response designed to keep you safe. And it feels like one where people maybe also carry the most shame. You know, if somebody approached the house now where I am and they were going to come in and try and attack me and my daughter, you know, if I went to fight and I fought them off and, you know, I went into a blind rage, let's call it that, you know, because it's a trauma response and I fought them off, everyone would be like, yeah, no, absolutely, I would have done the same thing. If somebody came in and I tried to seduce them, placate them, act like I knew them, make out like it was okay, offer them a cup of tea, people would be like, that's really fucked up. Like, what did you do that? What did you do that for? Why would you do that? It's a trauma response. It's actually not different. Fawning is really common in domestic abuse relationships where there's domestic violence. Fawning is really common in households with violence, you know, obviously growing up in childhood. Fawning can be really common with narcissistic employers, bosses, coaches, you know, parents that are coaches, the athletes, you'll probably know lots of times that may have happened, you know, so, but it's very common in sexual assault as well. And so I have people coming in for trauma work to reprocess a traumatic event, particularly around, say, sexual assault, where they are carrying shame that in some way they encouraged it, or in some way they were asking for it, or in some way, you know, that they've got some responsibility in this. But it was very evidently a premeditated attack, in some cases going to high court and all these sorts of things. And it's because the trauma response has been selected, and fawning is a genuine trauma response. And I just don't think there's this knowledge really yet in the system that this is something that is genuine. It happens, and it happens before any kind of conscious thought. It is activated because your amygdala, your limbic system, the animal part of your brain, fires first. And your prefrontal cortex, which is your dates, times, brokers, your language, all these areas at the front are offline. The blood's not there because your body, your system is taking over to keep you alive. I just don't think people understand that. And that's also why I think perhaps people stay in unhealthy relationships, because they carry shame that in some way they have perpetuated that person's behavior or encouraged it, or in some way they're to blame. And I just don't know there's enough knowledge in the collective about this at the moment.